Wow. Hi, Michael.
Never gets old. It just never gets old, does it?
It doesn't. It's a V.I.B. very important baritone guitar. Howdy.
We had very important beans. We had very important baritones.
Yeah.
Beasts. We should have a very important beast episode for our pets. We'll do that.
Oh, that's very
We
good.
need that. Man, I just have to say, I don't know what you're drinking, but it sure looks lovely. I'd like to say that the hue of that is.
You wouldn't believe how good it tastes.
Hey.
Well, since you're asking, I don't see why we shouldn't jump right into it. Other than I just want to say I haven't talked to you in some days, and it's good to see you.
Yeah, man. Survive the fourth.
You've made yourself busy with in this era of isolation and all that. You're a busy guy.
Yeah, God, thank God for that. I mean, keeping us sane with some projects to keep our minds off of all the various madness, all the madness that's happening. I've been busy with some good stuff. Yeah, it's really been a lot of fun.
So you're busy making music and collaborating and making videos and product, and I'm busy scouring the internet for the proper glassware for my beer. I mean, I don't know which is nobler. Actually, I do know which is nobler.
Yeah, without a doubt. You're on the nobler path.
Well, I'm going to say what I'm drinking. This is a barrel-aged Scotch ale. Comes in at 7.2. Scotch ale. It's also called a wee heavy. There are various levels of Scotch ales. There's 3 levels of them. And the wee heavy is the strongest in terms of alcohol, and it's got a more potent flavor, a little more dense on the malt tip. That's what's going on here. I'm always trying to develop my palate and try to give words to what I'm tasting, and so I let my brain go there, and I came up with like dark, like pungent fruit. That's what I came up with my brain. I was thinking figs, and then I read about it afterwards to see where I came in, and they said plums. So I think I'm circling.
That's really not bad at all. I mean,
circling it.
You're in the ballpark. You were in the fruit ballpark. So Hey.
Yeah. So anyway, it's really, really great, man. It's really the barrel aging thing, if done right, is really great.
Oh man, yeah. And how did you hear about that one?
I've seen it. I've never read about it or heard about it. I've just seen it in the nicer grocery store by my house.
Right.
They have a really good beer selection, and looking for a good. They have a couple Scotch ales, and this one clearly was the most highbrow. So I'm loving it. You'll see the effects of it momentarily.
Yeah.
What about you, man? What you been doing?
Well, hey, I've queued up 3. I have a little tasting station set up next to me. And first, I want to say that I have set this great little acquisition. We're speaking about, so I have found time to get my beer merch thing together too.
All
so
right.
I haven't neglected that. I know you've been scouring the internet for classes. I made a really great antique store, thrift store find. I was out in Joshua Tree shooting a music video. You alluded to doing videos and stuff. I just got back a couple of days from that, and while I was out there, I stopped at this thrift store, and they had this. Check this out. I'm gonna show it, hopefully, and not spill it. So I don't know if you can make out the logo there, but it's Lucky Lager. So Lucky Lager goes back. I did a little research on it. That goes back. It was popular in the 50s and 60s. Came out of San Francisco, and so this is a bona fide. It's not a reproduction. It's an antique from that era, and.
Wow.
Anyway, so that's what I'm using for my little tasting station. The glasses that they provided were a little smaller, probably 6 to 8 ounces, so good for tasters. And I have 3 beers lined up. One of them is a Kolsch style. It's Seafarer.
Oh yes.
So this is made by 3 Weavers, which is right here in Southern California, Inglewood, California. And they're part of the collective, our friend Preston with Canarchy, the collective that has 7 different craft brewers. They're one of the 7 brewers that's represented in that collective, 3 Weavers, and this is a Kolsch. We geek out a little bit. Kolsch, a lot of listeners might not know, is actually a hybrid style beer. It is actually, it comes out of Cologne, Germany. That's the region where Kolsch was originally brewed, and so it's lagered, which means it's stored the way conventional lagers are made. but it's also in the fermenting process. It's top fermented like an ale, so it's actually has elements of a lager. It has elements of an ale. So that's a good little backstory on the Kolsch thing. It's a very usually lovely, refreshing, light beer with some nice hops in the finish, and this is a good one, I have to say.
Love it.
So I have that one, and I have an Expatriate India Pale IPA, also from Three Weavers, set up, and then I have a Dale's Pale, which is by Oscar Blues, and also part of the Canarchy Brewers Collective. So I've got all three here, and looking forward to exploring them. So far, the Kolsch is lovely. I'm gonna take a little sip of this IPA here.
If we do, I don't think we're gonna. I even have the headspace or time to get into beers later. But if we do, I want to have a little comment. I've got something that goes really nicely side by side with that Kolsch. But we'll see if we we'll see if we remember to deal with that later.
I know,
dude, that's a nice lineup. That's a nice lineup.
It's a good lineup. Really loving my new little tasting station here. And but we're not gonna. We said we weren't gonna spend too much time on beer because we have special guests tonight. Episode. It's our second installment.
Yeah.
With this fine gentleman.
Yeah. Deep rock roots.
Yes. It was just last week, right? Episode
a week
1,
ago
right?
that we did it, and we could have gone on.
I lost track there for a
hours,
second.
Man.
I thought did we? Yeah, I wasn't sure if we skipped a week or something. I had a moment of I wasn't sure. Yeah, so just real briefly for the people that didn't tune in last week, our guest is Rick Wills, and who has an insane history in rock and roll. Last week we covered his time with Peter Frampton, working with Roxy Music. Knowing David Gilmour, playing with David Gilmour in '66 before there was any Pink Floyd.
Yes.
As I said, the Frampton on 3 different Frampton albums, a Roxy Music Association, and that was all before he got with Foreigner, and he joined Foreigner in '79.
Yeah.
So this week we decided we would break it up into 2 episodes, and we're going to talk about the Foreigner years, which started in '79 with Rick. So without further ado.
Ladies and gentlemen,
bring him on.
ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to bring our friend, and kind of sort of like, is it presumptuous to say bandmate? I'd say I'm going to say it. We're kind of sort of bandmates. Ladies and gentlemen, Rick Wills, bass extraordinaire, cool guy. Hey, man, Rick.
He magically appeared.
He's back.
Oh,
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Cheers, dude.
I'll be back with you.
Cheers to you, Rick.
Cheers.
What?
Oh, look at the dark color of that beverage.
Ooh.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I would say just looking at that, the color is similar, but I have a feeling it's not the same beer that you're drinking.
A
As Bruce.
little swing towards Ireland. It's called
Yes.
Okay.
Dublin's best Guinness.
Oh my God, it's a staple. It's a staple.
Man,
But
do you have
Ed-
the can with you? Is the can nearby?
Oh, yeah,
Is the can nearby?
it is.
There it is.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Thing of beauty. I love those Guinness cans.
Looks a lot like that.
Oh, yeah.
Works.
Yeah.
I get sentimental when I see
Yeah.
those.
Oh, yeah.
That was the
love
first.
that. Yeah.
Guinness was the first beer that when I finally realized there was something out there besides Schlitz and Old Milwaukee and Coors. When I was a young lad in California, you started drinking beer because, frankly, you kind of get buzzed and it's fun with your buddies. But yeah, when I tasted Guinness, it was immediately like, whoa. And then I went to Ireland when I was in like 22, I think. Had it there and I was like, done. I get it now. So
It's so much creamier in Dublin, though. I got to tell
Oh,
you.
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
And
we
I
did
think,
it
Rick,
the
did you ever
can.
go to the factory?
I never went to the factory, but you just got to go to a Dublin pub and get in there amongst the crowd. Like in those days when you didn't have to socially distance yourself from anyone.
yeah.
You would be in the back of the room because it was so packed. You just shout, 2 pints of Guinness, man! And it would hand it over their heads to you,
Oh, man.
It was beautiful, and it was so creamy.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah, that creaminess. Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
So
Really
great.
good.
Speaking, Rick, your career's been creamy to say the least. Like
Oh.
top.
I've been
Well
a
played.
very lucky boy.
Yeah, it's really. We had such a great conversation. I encourage anybody who's didn't check it out, just pop after this, pop over there, and check out the first half of Rick's career. It's crazy. It's fun.
Well, I got
But
so nice what people have been saying about our first conversation.
Yeah.
The feedback has been very positive, really nice. I mean, I didn't see any negatives. I mean, it's just the way you are and we are together when we're in the band room or wherever we are on stage. We're just friends, and that's what's so
Yeah.
cool about this. You know,
Good vibes. Good vibes.
And we pivot around these incredible songs.
Oh, but I want to correct something that I said wrong on the first time we talked.
Okay.
This album, I'm going to bring up Peter Frampton,
Yeah.
right? Wind of Change. I said Mickey Jones, and he's called Mickey Jones on here, by the way.
Wow.
I said he wasn't on this, but he is. He actually is on the first track of side 2 of this vinyl. All I Want to Be is By Your Side.
Yeah.
And check it out. It's a wonderful track. It's about 6:25 minutes long, and we did it in one take. Peter showed us the chords when we were in Island Studios. The only time we ever moved out of Olympic in London, in Nottingham Gate.
Mm-hmm.
And we just worked it out. I mean, I walked into the room. I hadn't seen Mick since Paris. He was standing there with his guitar case. He had a red 335.
Yes, that guitar,
Oh,
man.
man.
It was a beautiful guitar. He looked great. We were all happy to be there. So there was Andy Bound, Mike Kelly, myself, Peter, and Mickey Jones.
In 72. What year was that, Rick?
1972.
Yeah.
And right, and I love the way it says that. It says Mike Kelly drums, Ricky Wills bass guitar.
Ricky Wills.
He liked the E. He liked that sort of cutesy diminutive thing.
No, rhythm guitar. Right? Andrew Bound, mellotron and percussion.
Ooh.
There's the lineup.
Nice.
That's it.
So literally, we said to Kelly, "You count it off, and we'll just go into it." And you hear this whistling first, and then he goes into the song.
Yeah.
It is absolutely. I mean, I was using a Fender bass and a Fender twin reverb for my bass amp because I was doing direct as well. But the Fender reverb, the twin, was really nice because 212s, so it's a nice tight sound.
Right.
It was perfect. And we went up
man.
to the control room and listened to it. We couldn't believe we'd done it in
one take, right?
It's really, listen to it. It's
I did. It doesn't sound overworked, but it sounds really, it sounds like it's worked up. It's the parts are really good and tight.
Yeah. I mean, there's no mistakes in it. And we never did overdubs, nothing. Peter did overdubs guitar-wise, obviously, which was so beautiful the way he plays on that, too.
Yeah.
How long had it been approximately since you had seen Mick? I mean, you had known him in Paris.
About 6 years, 5-6 years.
6 years, okay.
Yeah. And he looked great. His hair looked good. He was in great shape. He really looked. I mean, I was so amazed to see him there because Peter had an association with him, as I told you before, with the Small Faces. And Peter going to Paris with Johnny Halliday. Yeah. So it was just a nice evening together in the studio and produced track.
Yeah. So that would have been Mick. Probably would have been. Was that like right around Spooky Tooth time, right? Maybe.
Well, I guess it was before Spooky Tooth. Yeah,
a little before. Okay.
Yeah, I think I was like kind of before Leslie West and Mountain and that kind of stuff.
Okay, gotcha. Yep.
But it was just a nice evening, and I thought I've got to bring this up, and make it right. So let's put that to bed, and we'll carry.
Great. Because Mick called me. He was extremely upset. He was going to give you a chance to make it right.
Got up.
There we are. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay, segue.
Oh, man.
Back.
Oh, man.
Okay. So this is the first record that you did with Foreigner.
Yes. Well, I've got to tell you this story, but this is precious. How I got to be in Foreigner anyway. Yeah. Because it's really because of Peter Frampton anyway that I was in New York. Peter had released, as you know, the live album Frampton Comes Alive, which was suddenly just exploded. We had toured all the way through 73, 74, worked our butts off to do what was necessary with everybody, open for everybody, got into the pocket position. And then suddenly, after I'd gone, after my rudeness about Peter's lyrics.
See episode 1.
Oh, yeah, right, exactly.
It just does.
C'est what c'est la vie.
It does.
And it just exploded. So I didn't really know how to find out what was going on, because when they did the live version of Do You Feel Like We Do, they extended it to the point where it was 13 minutes long. So it counted as 2 tracks. And Dubiwa was, I guess, what, 4.5 minutes, something like that.
Which you had co-writes on both those songs.
Yeah. So I said to Dave, can you ask your publishing guys, because, he was in Pink Floyd then, and he had all these contacts with people, whereas I didn't. He said, yeah, we'll find out. So he looked into it. He said, well, the numbers are just enormous on Peter's sales. They're huge. I said, well, what do you think I'm owed? He said, well, we reckon about $100,000 right now. I went, are you kidding me? That's ridiculous, Dave. I mean, in those days you could buy a house in England for £15,000. Still.
So you had a I'm rich moment.
Well, no, I didn't. I had a moment of like, I've got to go. I've got to go to New York. I knew D'Antoni and his management, were there on Park Avenue.
Yeah.
And so I did. I literally got on a Freddie Lakers. They used to have these flights out of London that were really cheap, like £79 one way to New York.
Wow.
And I took one of those because, I wasn't particularly flushed at the time, as they say.
Yeah.
And I got to New York, and Jerry Shirley had an apartment on 10th Avenue near SIR at the time. So I stayed with him. And while I was within a day or two, he said, hey, on the grapevine, I've just heard the Foreigner are changing their bass player. He said, what, are you? I said, I'm so interested because I love what they're doing. My wife had turned me on to Feels Like the First Time, hearing it on the radio. And I listened to it. I went, that's a cracking song. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
And then I got the album. I had a BMW at the time in London, and I had an 8-track player in there, right?
Yeah.
With a really good sound system.
Wow.
Man, I cranked the hell out of that. And then I bought double digits. I mean, it was like, how do you do that on top of that one? It was like, brilliant. So I was a big fan. I was sold. And I said, well, who's in the band? I said, well, Mick Jones. I said, I know Mick. I've got to get in touch with this guy. I want that job, So that's what happened. I was in New York. I went to D'Antoni and said, D, I think I'm owed some money on Peter's album. He said, absolutely, Rick. You're definitely owed. But it's so big, we're accounting all the time about what's coming in on this album. It's huge. He said, I can give you a check today, and you can go downstairs, and there was a bank right underneath his office on Park Avenue. I can't remember the name of it, but I think it was something like Chase Manhattan or something like that. But he made it out for $35,000 cash.
Wow.
Well, I mean, what's a boy going to do? I mean,
I've got some ideas.
New York City.
I was a young man.
Oh, man.
So I went downstairs and I said to the teller, I have a check here made out to cash to me, and I would like to cash it. She said, do you know that you're living in New York right now, right? I said, yeah. She said, if I gave you $35,000, you would probably get mugged, robbed, stabbed, everything. In one go, right? I said, I can't do that. I can't allow you to do that.
Right.
I said, what do I do? She said, we're going to open you a deposit box downstairs. And we'll put the money in there. And we're going to give you a card and a number and a code. And when you need some cash, you come in, you take it out.
That's a smart lady there.
Great advice.
Absolutely, man. I mean, she really put it down.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
man, can you imagine you cash a $35,000 check, you walk around the corner, and you got mugged.
Get rolled.
Oh my God.
Well, Jerry and I don't remember the next few days, I'll tell you that.
Oh, what a blast.
Oh,
wow.
That's
But
great.
it was a great feeling to think it finally paid off all that work.
Something, yeah.
Yes.
Really was. And then guess what? I got a call. Come over to SIR, Rick. We're holding auditions for Foreigner. So I go over to SIR Studios, which I knew. So they were in the big room, all set up on the big stage, in the big stage room.
Yeah.
So I saw Mick in the sort of a lobby area first. We sort of reminisced for a while, and he said, come and meet the guys. And they were all in there. Lou was sitting on a stool in one corner, Dennis behind his drums, Al in the back, Ian, his usual fiddling around with his horns and whatever and stuff. So I said, where do I plug in? And Michael McConnell, their roadie, who was been there from day one, he said, come and plug into Ed's rig, big rig in the back. I plugged in. He said, well, what do you want to play? I said, tell me what you want to do. Because I had been really listening. I knew what to do. I had my stuff pretty much together. So, okay, let's do Hot Blooded. Let's do Double Vision. Let's do Cold as Ice. Let's see, where we go with it.
So no big songs or anything.
Yeah.
No, there was no 12-bar blues, believe you me.
Yeah, right.
So we just went into it. And it felt so good because Dennis is a great. I mean, the band was great. They've been out there on the road. They were hot.
Right.
I just worked so well.
Yeah.
I thought, holy shit, is it me or is it them? I don't know.
Yeah.
Dennis, after we played 3 songs, he just got off his kit and he just came down to the front and said, I want him.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Big man. No, Dennis. No, we
Don't say that, man.
No.
Yeah.
Do you know?
His salary just went up when you said that.
Yeah. Hey, Rick, do you know if did you know if they had heard a lot of other bass players?
Oh,
yet?
I knew who was on the list. I mean, all of the best bass players wanted to go. Everybody.
Sure.
From Steve Murray, Elton John's bass player, the guy from Saturday Night Live,
Will.
all these guys wanted the job. Why
Will Lee? Is that who you're going to say?
Yeah,
Bruce?
yeah.
Will Lee from the band, yeah.
But Dennis said him because it felt right. He said,
right. Yeah.
I have a question. I would ask you. I've always wanted to ask you about that moment and that. How much was there a small percentage of that because you played amazing and the chemistry was there, but also you're British? I mean, was there a tinge of that Dennis felt like he'd rather play with a Brit, or did that not matter at all?
I was wondering about that too.
I think there probably was because being Brits as Mick and Dennis were, and
right.
we had that thing,
Right.
Yeah.
We understood one another totally. Whereas
Right.
I didn't know Al or Lou at all at the time,
Right.
and that came later. That understanding between each other because it's stupid English humor is like we love to laugh at just everything and anything is silly. We do. And we make we take the piss out of each other. We just do that.
Yes.
But that's just the way we are because it levels everything.
Right.
Yeah.
It
does.
Yeah. We just go, oh really? You're that fit
Yes.
for you? Oh really?
Yeah. That's a wonderful part about the British culture that I've always just appreciated so much, which is just it's like it's a correction. It's a corrective device, right? It's like no one here is. You're another bloke that we're gonna have a beer at the pub. Yeah, it's like it's nothing. Yeah, you're not special.
That's what I love about you guys. You understand that when we're together.
Definitely.
We have fun together, and we understand what we're doing on stage together. But we don't look at each other going, "Oh my God, I'm in such awe of you. You're just so wonderful the way you live."
Right.
Oh.
Right. That can be so uncomfortable. When people, isn't that weird? Isn't that creepy? If somebody starts getting that way with you, it's sort of like, ooh, just,
Cheers.
Cheers to that.
Yeah.
Cheers to being just some normal dude.
Okay, so Rick, so you got the gig. You got the gig, and
I see that's another side of the story too. I mean, I was in New York. I was having an absolute silly time with Jerry Shirley, as you do. He was my best man at my wedding, by the way. We've known each other for a long time. So my wife brings me. And we talked. We had 2 children by the way, a girl and a boy called Daniel. Both of them came down with chickenpox at the same time.
Oh wow!
Oh man!
And Lynn was at home in Notting Hill Gate, just around the corner, by the way, from Island Studios, where we recorded that song, "All I Want to Be." She said, "Rick, please come home. I'm going crazy. The kids are really sick. I need your help." I said, I can't leave. I don't know if I've got the job or not. This was going on 2 weeks now since I had auditioned. I went back and did a second audition where we did both, and it went really well again. I still didn't know. I mean, Mick's not he's not one to just go, yeah, like that.
Right.
You know what
Right.
Yeah.
you work with him. You know what he's like.
Right.
Yes.
He takes caution over.
He's
you
not
know,
an impulsive guy. He's not an impulsive guy.
Oh, and he's got
Never use that.
impulsive So anyway, I did go home. I had all this money, and I was dying to fly on Concorde. I really was. I'd never flown anything but in the back of a plane.
Sure.
In coach. I'd never flown anywhere but that. But this time I went home and I was humble and I went back just normal in coach, got to London. I got to my flat in Notting Hill Gate. The next morning, early in the morning, like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, the phone rang. Mick and Bud were in the office up at 1790 Broadway in New York talking. And Bud Prager came on the phone. I don't know if you know Bud, but you probably don't.
He had gone on.
Silver Man, you know, the Silver Fox. He said, "How you feeling, Rick?" I said, "Well, I'm kind of tired, jet lag, just got back from New York." He said, "Well, you're going to feel pretty good, you know." I said, "Fine." He said, "You just got the job at Foreign." I went, "Are you kidding me?" We were like, I was in bed with my wife and the kids. And we were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this."
Wow.
Yeah, it was
So let me just say that 79 was a pretty good year for you.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
You went from a big fat check into foreign, and then become a band member of foreign.
I had
Wow.
money in the bank. I had, you know, my wife said, "You've got to go, Rick. You got to do it." I said, "What should I do?" He said, "You got to go to Heathrow today and come back to New York. We need you for rehearsal head games."
Wow.
And that's what they were doing.
Wow.
So I went to Heathrow. This is the God's honest truth, by the way. I went to Heathrow to BA desk, and I said, "I think there's a ticket for me, Rick Lord." She said, "Oh, Mr. Rose, I'm really sorry, but the Concorde sold out today."
Oh.
I went, "Concorde? I don't do Concorde."
You must be Mr. Willis.
Smoking section. You know?
The smoking section.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Back when you could smoke on planes.
First class, the 747. I said, "Would I mind? Let me think about it for a minute."
Right.
Yes, definitely.
Oh,
So I
man.
did. I flew back to New York in first class for the first time ever in my life. And that's when upstairs was a lounge.
Yeah, with a piano. Yeah.
Lounge.
A piano?
Yeah, they have little. Yeah.
I did, seriously. Upstairs on a BA 747.
Wow.
I thought, well, there's no way I'm going to work today. So I'm allowed a little bit of slack here. Boys. So I proceeded to get royally pissed.
Celebrating.
I was just telling everybody, you're not going to believe what's happened to me.
Yeah, right.
You said next one's on me.
Yeah.
I got to New York. It's a bit wobbly. You know, I was okay. And instead of a limo meeting me, Troby Laidlaw, one of our road crew, who's a beautiful guy, I love Troby to this day, he was there waiting in his Volkswagen, right? I said, "Troby, go to the nearest coffee shop straight. Let's go get some espresso." Now, I did straight.
Yeah.
I hadn't any beer. I mean, it's only beer. I wasn't drinking anything heavy.
Yeah.
And we went straight to SIR, a different SIR on another street, and they were all waiting for me to turn up. And I just walked in. I said, "Okay, guys, thank you so much for choosing me. Where do we start?" And we just went into the songs.
Wow.
It was just amazing.
And
So-
as you've told me, so it's not a secret to me. And I've always asked you, what was the first song you guys recorded? It's such a great. You could feel it, man. Anyway, that's just such a special track. It's so vibrant and light and snotty and youthful and.
Well, I mean, I've got to tell you, we had this guy called Roy Thomas Baker producing.
You may have heard of him.
Yeah.
Right?
You may have heard of a little band called Queen that he worked
Yeah.
with.
Or the Cars, maybe.
The Cars, yeah.
Roy Thomas Baker is a character unto himself. I mean, he really, everything's yummy. He loves his food. He loves his champagne.
Yummy.
This whole lifestyle they had. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, their refrigerator. This was on Broadway, by the way, Atlantic Studios, Broadway in New York, the old Broadway. Aretha could record it. Everybody would record.
Yeah.
Famous. It's a funky old studio. They put my bass gear in a room, and every time I played the bass note, all the doors rattled and stuff. You know? It was funky. It really was. First track we cut was just Dirty White Boy.
Oh man.
You know?
Well, listen, would you mind if we just see what you looked like in that point in time in your life? I think we could probably throw up a little image.
Yeah. Let's get.
Oh man, that is so good. Jeez, that's
God.
good, man.
I wish I had that much hair still.
I was gonna say, man, you were sporting some curls there, man.
Wow.
Those
Bruce,
curls
man.
were kicking.
Bruce, I have my hair just like that.
Listen, now I got to need about 3 or 4 more inches to go. Hey, that's what she said. No.
I guess
Man, Rick,
Wow.
that bass, I mean, the whole song is amazing. I'm still a fan when I listen to that original recording. But the bass line of "Dirty White Boy, boo doo doo," that's that's crazy hooky, man.
But the most important thing is the way it rides on the verse. That dum 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 dum.
Yeah.
And every time I hear Jeff play it, because he's using a plectrum, he doesn't play it that way because it's a rolling thing. It's like dum 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 dum.
Well, we have Jeff right now. Let's bring him in, Jeff. No.
Care to weigh in?
Oh man, yeah. No, you do have your the sound that you get using your fingers in your right hand is a very large, fat, huge bass sound.
That's the sound. Sure. I don't like. I mean, I appreciate people like Chris Squire and people like that who do that clicky
Paul McCartney
Knickerbacker sound,
right?
Which
had.
Yeah.
But that's not me. I like a big round bass sound.
Right.
Sticks with the.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah. Man, so great.
Started.
So you jumped in and you guys how much time passed between when you came back to New York and started rehearsing to when you recorded that song? Days or a week or 2 weeks or
Days.
That's amazing.
I mean, I would say we probably did 2 or 3 days rehearsal and we were straight in the studio. They had the songs ready.
Wow.
And I didn't take me long to learn them because, I could sit with Ian or Mick or whoever and go through the chords and get the feel of the song, the idea of what they had. Because Ian, he had his own ideas about his songs, same way. But when we recorded, basically it was Mick, Dennis, Lou, and me in the room. That's how we worked. We laid 4 people laid the track down. So we did a guide vocal with Lou to put the track down so we could follow the lyric.
Yeah.
Yep.
And from there, we would just Al would go in a different room with his keyboards and just work out parts for himself. Ian likewise to a point, but then he would come in with us and work on his stuff as well. It was a very, very well worked thing, and we were under a strict time scale as well because we wanted to get it out for the fall that year. This was March, April when I joined, so we had the summer to get it done. That's what we did.
So you spent a couple months on the album?
We spent
2-3 months?
Probably about 6 weeks in New York, and then we went out to LA to finish at Cherokee.
Wow.
Yeah, that's when we finished the album.
Wow. So great. Wow, what else, man? Should we go? I mean, what else about that record? Anything other than that was amazing? Then you toured that record.
Well, what happened was we knew we had a tour coming up starting in September, starting in Binghamton, New York, right? Mick and Ian were still out in LA, and I hadn't had an actual live rehearsal with the band before we started the tour. Again, it's like the Roxy Music situation. Oh, don't worry, Rick, it'll be fine. We'll see you on stage. Right?
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, man.
I got to tell you this, before this tour, they decided to have a scissor jack stage come up from under the stage with Mick, Ian, me, and Lou on it, right? To pop up out of the smoke and all the light. Then an hour on their keyboards at the back, Well, that never will work.
Spinal Tap, huh?
Spinal Tap comes to mind.
Totally.
Crawling out of the hole into the stage. It wasn't a very.
That must have been. They got that stuff from watching some footage of that of like guys like with those early
the pod
that they at the end Harry Shearer's got his arm sticking out of it.
Oh, it's real stuff, man.
It's real.
We laughed ourselves stupid over some of those things.
Wow.
You have to be there to be doing it, to crawl out of the hole with the guitar in your hand, trying to keep your face going out, chewing the stuff.
Oh, I love it.
Oh man,
I love it.
So Rick, so you recorded that record, Head Games. It was as successful as anybody could have wanted it to be, right?
Well, it was, and it wasn't. I mean,
It wasn't like,
because of the cover with the girl on the front.
oh
the,
right, all that.
You know, trying to rub out a name or a number. Some people just didn't get that. It's like, you know, it wasn't politically correct, as they call PC now. I mean, there she is, look, you know, doing her thing. On the
There was a backlash.
Oh yeah, the what they call the rackers in those days, who racked the albums in their shops, stores. They refused to touch it. They said, that's disgusting.
Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Oh, I mean,
Well, still managed to do pretty damn well, all considered. All considering.
Which was 8 million plus sales. Back in those
Wow.
days, it was, you know, considered if you were big, successful, that's what you did. Well, they never reached that figure. I think we did probably 3.5, maybe 4 million albums, something like that.
Yeah.
Still very
These days, yeah.
sales, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I felt, and we all felt it. It wasn't just me, that we kind of failed somewhat. You know?
Wow, unbelievable.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
That's just a little bit of historical perspective for you, you know.
Yeah.
You imagine.
You know, I mean, never sold more than probably, you know, 10 bobs worth of records anyway.
So Rick, after going around the world multiple times, touring on your first record with Foreigner, Head Games, it leads to another era, another level, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you just, how could it get bigger than that? And then
it does.
Then it does.
Oh, I have to say also, it's like traveling the world with the nicest bunch of guys ever.
That's so great to hear, man, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, you know, follow me because we're stars now. They weren't like that. They were still really on it about getting it better all the time. That
shows.
You know?
Yeah.
The live shows got better and better and better.
Yeah.
So we came off that tour late 1980, I guess. Yes, it would have been, yeah. We were all, you know, we'd done the world. So, yeah, it was all good. I have been living in a rented house up in Mount Kisco in New York, in Westchester County. Loving life. I've got my wife and my children over to live with me right now. Iona, Elliot, Dennis helped me find a place. We had 2 days to do it in. I mean, my wife came over, she said, "Wait, what the hell have you rented?" I mean, I rented a house off a guy called Joe Bonanno, who was one of the mafioso guys in New Jersey.
Joe Bonanno.
Oh, man.
Joe
the Banana.
Joe Bonanno. So, I mean, from the outside, it looked like a regular house, Mount Kisco, up the top of a hill. And inside was decorated like a mafioso house, I guess. It had orange fur curtains and things like that with stars.
A lot of gold.
And my wife's very much a habitat kind of girl. She likes things really simple and plain and lovely and plain, you know, nice colors and simple. She said, "What the hell have you rented?" That was stupidity, right? Because Dennis had a Cadillac Eldorado at the time, right?
All right.
I went out and bought one too. I just couldn't help it. I had to. It was like a boat. It was like a great big boat. Every time you went to the bend, you all slid across the
Yeah. No seatbelts and bench seats.
No. You thought I was completely nuts.
Cigarettes, everyone's smoking in there, you know.
That's good fun, you know. So we were happy. We were there. And then by the time we finished touring, the band gave me a really good bonus for the whole year and everything.
Wow.
That was the way it was. They'd done very well. And we bought our first home in Mount Kisco down on Orchard Road. And it was just the most beautiful thing, so that we could actually put our feet down and make our home in the States for the first time. You know, that's what we did. And Lynn loved that. We had money coming because we were doing great. And we just went for it. We did the whole thing, for the kids because they were young. Put them in really lovely schools, and we put a pool in the backyard. It was just heaven, We could,
Living the
Yeah,
dream.
yeah. So you guys came off the road, and then certain people went off and did some writing, and
Yeah.
talk of another album was percolating, right?
We're always in touch with it. They were the writing team,
Right.
And then one day I got a call. Mick had a house up in Pound Ridge near where I was living. And he was up there with Lou one day, and he rang me. He said, come over to the house. He said, we're working on a song that I think you'll like. So I went over, and the afternoon, I think it was a Sunday afternoon or something, he said, listen to this. He played me the beginnings of Waiting for a Girl Like You.
Mm.
And I said, well, if that's not number one, I don't know what is.
Wow.
That's a perfect song from the start.
And you know what?
of what
You know what, Rick? You're wrong. It
Yeah.
only made it to number 2.
Yeah.
No, it only made number 2 because of Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah. Physical.
Physical.
Oh my God.
But it stayed at number 2 for
8, 10
I don't
weeks.
know.
Seriously.
I'll bet you guys want to get physical with her for keeping you out of that slot.
Hey, him and Joey Banano.
It did not hurt album sales one bit.
Right. You're right.
It didn't.
Yeah.
It got to number 1, the album. We were so over the moon. Foreign
Wow.
Accord got to number 1. Our
Wow.
first one album. And I was in the band then.
Did you guys?
And that's sort of the.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well,
No, I was gonna say just peaking. You're peak. The band is at its peak at that point.
Well, what happened
I mean, with that.
after the tour and everything, I think Mick and Lou sat down and said, look, I want to make some, I think Mick really saw a vision of what the future was going to be. He wanted more diversity because there was so much going on in England with music, with all these different punk things and all this different stuff.
Yes.
He knew that change was about to happen. He knew that.
Mm.
So he said to Lou, I think we've got to make a change. And changes are never easy. And they're very hurtful. And they can be very painful too. And they decided that Al and Ian should go. Now, I really didn't have anything to do with this. And I mean, Al and I are still very good friends. And Ian too. But Ian is obviously very bitter about that breakup, and he should be, quite rightly.
Yeah.
It was done for a reason, because Mick thought, and his vision was, let's have the diversity of bringing in other people to give us a different perspective on what we can do, with the core being Dennis, Rick, Lou, Mick, right? We would go in and lay the tracks down, and then we would bring in people to see what they would bring to the track. That's what we did with people, very diverse kinds of people.
Right.
Well,
Stuff that we started out recording at the beginning of that album, Electric Ladyland, working with Mutt Lang. I mean, that was a whole other experience, by the way, too, working with Mutt, who had produced some fantastically huge, successful albums.
Yeah.
Def Leppard, all these people.
Yeah.
We suddenly found ourselves in a position where we had to come up to the mark too. Boy, we have to come up to the mark, because he wasn't taking any prisoners for it. I mean, there was you made it or you didn't make it. That was it.
We'll get somebody else.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was cutthroat, man. Friendship went out the window at that point. You better deliver, boy, or you're out of here.
Yeah.
So we have to.
As a keyboard guy, I didn't learn that. It wasn't until I was a member of Foreigner that I learned that Thomas Dolby was brought in to play keyboards on Foreigner 4. That kind of blew me away because I was in high school when She Blinded Me with Science came out, and he burst on the scene with that wacky, cool, brilliant tune, and but then to hear that before he broke as an artist, that he had contributed all these brilliant keyboard parts to Foreigner 4. And obviously no disrespect to Al at all, who had done so many great things too, and is amazing to this day, is still a great keyboard player. But to your point though, you have to grow, right?
Yes.
You have to grow. And
we were at 1980 at the point, right? Going into 81.
Things were changing.
we wanted to take things up to another level where we'd already succeeded with 3 albums that had done very, very well. But now we're at a critical point where how do we crack into that #1 album?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Atlantic wanted it. They were giving us free a la carte sort of reign to go for it with as far as the money's concerned.
Yeah.
We spent over a year in the studio making that album. And there was painful moments. I can tell you. It was
What was
year.
painful? What was painful?
in
Yeah,
there
good
sometimes
question.
was really painful. Because it was, I mean, I'll give you a clue. The first track we cut was Waiting for a Girl Like You.
The first track. Wow.
First track. Boom. Two takes. But said, you've done it. You've cut it. I thought, woo, this is going to be a piece of cake. But we just had the feel right. I mean, literally, we did the first take. We listened to it and said, I think we could do it better. So we did it second take and we went and listened to it. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. It's perfect.
Wow, man.
You know, everything was just there. So I thought, well, we're on a roll here. Well, I was dead wrong there, I can tell you.
Didn't go like that.
Wow.
From that point on, that's when the work started happening. Because Mark had a vision
Yeah.
about how he wanted certain songs to be. He wanted a huge, which turned into Jukebox Hero. He wanted that. He wanted an anthem track.
Anthem, yeah.
He wanted something that was unusual. It became urgent. Right? We didn't have urgent at that point. We didn't have Jukebox Hero. We had the other songs that we worked around and we worked on and got better and better at it. But there were days when Mutt would say, Rick, I want you to come in the studio today because I want you to drop in all the bass notes with Dennis's bass drum. Because if you listen to a drummer's bass drum, I mean, if you just solo it, they're all over the place sometimes. They really are. And it's not because they're wrong, but they're just a little bit out sometimes.
Humans, yes.
They're humans, yes. Mutt doesn't like humans, it seems.
Yeah.
He wanted
Mutt
me,
doesn't do human, yeah.
he wanted me to try and do something with the bass drum perfectly. That's so monotonous doing that.
Yeah.
Sitting there for hours with cans on, listening and dropping bass drum. That's how it was. He said, that's how I do it, and I want it perfect. And we did it. A lot to a lot of that stuff. And I have to agree, in the end, we came out with an album that was fantastic. You know?
Yeah,
Nice.
the market spoke.
You know, it was really tough.
It kind of reminds me, a band like Steely Dan had that reputation for being that level of perfectionists, and it kind of sounds like Mutt definitely went in that direction of wanting to be, was very obsessive about certain details.
Well, I mean, if you listen to a Def Leppard record, I mean, we know what goes into a Def Leppard record. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But this is interesting in that what Mutt was going for was something that became very easy once digital audio was a reality, because you would not have been called back. They would just moved your bass notes. But
Just move it,
I
nudge
think
it so that it lines up.
Yeah. So I mean, but you guys did that manual, and I think it feels a little more organic. I think Urgent, although it was obviously meticulously crafted, but it was still performed, and I don't know, man. It doesn't sound computerized.
No,
to me.
No, it's not. I mean,
Yeah, it wasn't.
the way we did it, I mean, obviously it needed that slap bass thing. Well, I don't play slap bass, right? So Mutt and I talked about it. I said, you know what? Let's do it together. So we did. I literally, it's Mutt and me playing bass on that track.
Wow.
Wow.
See how we did it. You know, he would play the low note, I would do the slap.
Oh my God.
That's how we worked it. And I'm not scared to say that or anything. It
You
worked.
got nothing to prove, bro.
Right.
Yeah, you got nothing to prove. You're good.
And the Box Hero, that boom, where you got that big bass note coming off the Moog on the keyboard, it was huge. I mean, really, the bass is there, but it's that.
Yeah.
It's huge.
That sound to this day, yeah, I mean, that blows me away. I mean, I'm playing Thomas Dolby's cut up samples from that part. I'm playing it. We're not running tracks, but I'm actually using the sound that he created, cut up.
You do
And
it
it's
really
just,
well.
you can't play that. What's that?
You do it really well, by the way.
Well, thank you. But yeah, I mean, you can't play that song without that. I mean, that's like that is that.
See, when I stand on the side of the stage, when I'm watching you guys, and you come out and you start that boom, boom, it just starts off, and you come in with that. The crowd know what the song is, so the vibe just feels and it builds. And then when Kelly comes out and says, you know, are you guys with us or whatever, you know, ba-ba, boom. I mean, it's massive. And that whole lyric about, you know, standing in the rain, you know, it's just perfect.
So evocative.
Exactly what Buck wanted. This is what he was wanting. He wanted that to get that.
Hey, man,
that vibe. You know,
it worked.
And the proof. I mean,
yeah. It was really nice to be by. Plus, we were in Electric Ladyland, one of my favorite studios. I love that. I really do.
Wow. Yeah, there's there, I mean, of the massive songs, there were Urgent, there was Jukebox Hero, Waiting for a Girl Like You.
Yeah.
But there's some other great. Those were the ones that everybody on the planet
knows.
knows.
All that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and Rick, we talked about Girl on the Moon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
You mentioned before we started, we just when we were getting set up for tonight's session, you know, you mentioned our acoustic version of that. When we do it once in a while, we usually just do it acoustically stripped down, which I think often we've always said, like, when you strip a song down that way and you don't have all the bells and whistles, you don't have all the, you know, 18 keyboard parts that are in there, or, you know, all the extra background vocals that are layered. It just sort of shows you, okay, this is a strong song that can be presented in any format. You could have an acoustic guitar and a voice, and that song stands on its own. So, I mean, I think that's an example of that.
You know, the way you can get the sounds you get today so easily, and you're doing it without really any drums. It sounds like congas. Is it congas? I'm not sure what was Chris playing.
Oh, you're saying when we did it acoustically?
Shakers, man, shakers.
But there's also conga in there. Yeah. Someone's playing a conga in there.
Yeah. There's been that iteration. Yeah.
This is such a lovely song. It's just really beautifully crafted song.
Yeah.
The guitar sounds are so nice on it. The chord change is so nice.
Yeah. And it all supports the lyric. You know, I mean, the emotion of the lyric is supported so beautifully harmonically by the chords, and it's a really great song.
It's so funny because when we got to the end of that, where Mick and I looked at her, we said, "Girl," and we said, "Please solo Lou."
Yeah.
To do that because that's our French thing, you know.
Yeah.
Well, and you had learned some French.
Yeah.
And you had learned some French from your time in Paris, right?
Sure, yeah. Dave's perfect French anyway. Dave Gilmore. And I've obviously learned. I mean, over the years, Lynn and I love going to France. It's one of our favorite places.
Yeah. And I know Mick still speaks to this day. He speaks some French, I know.
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Phil Carson also, by the way, your manager, is a great guy.
Yes.
Especially when he's had a few glasses of wine.
When he's ordering some good French wine. So Rick, I mean, wow, you did that record, and all of this is blowing up on the radio, it's blowing up on the charts, it's blowing up in society, and you're touring. So was that tour? I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of pressure, and there's probably a lot of, you know, excess and fun too. What was the balance of the pressure? Was everything still fun, or was it starting to get heavy?
No, it never got heavy. No.
Good. No. I'm glad to hear that, because that's a lot of pressure, I would think. You know.
Yeah. But the pressure was good because we were enjoying it.
Oh, that's so
what
great.
What was going on? We were just happy always. I mean, that album, by the way, as of last Thursday, sorry, that's my dog barking. As of last 39 years ago since Foreigner 4 was released on July 2nd.
81
years ago. Can you believe that? So,
not at all.
You know, next year's our anniversary, 40th anniversary.
Yes, I see some big concerts for Foreigner 4.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so.
Foreigner 40th.
It's sort of hard. It's sort of hard to say this without sounding like, you know, crotchety old guy here, but how many albums that are coming out now? You know, how many albums just in musical history have that many known hits that many years later, and that are so much a part of the culture, you know? And Foreigner 4 is one of them, man.
Oh, you know, I only found out recently, and I didn't know this, that Foreigner 4 is the longest staying at number one for 10 weeks in in Atlantic's history for a rock band.
Wow.
We beat Led Zeppelin. We beat them all. I didn't know
If
that.
you look at their roster, that's a very, very impressive statistic.
It's an incredible roster. They had the best,
Yeah.
man. Well, in my opinion,
Yeah.
but of that genre, that era.
Right. Right.
Not putting anybody else down because there's so much great music out there. But at
It's a
that
fact.
time,
It's just a fact.
we hit it right because when we went out on tour after we made the album, we had acts like Bryan Adams open for us, Billy Squire, who was huge at the time.
Huge.
We had Joe Walsh open for us.
Wow.
Of that stature,
Yeah.
open for us.
Headliners were opening for you.
Yes, they
Yeah.
would. And every show was just sold out across the board. It was just a wonderful time to be on the road because I guess we were enjoying the success of the work we put in.
Fruits of the labor, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow, amazing, amazing.
not one of us ever lost it at that point. No way. We always said, we've got to take care of this. It's too big. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It's hard to leave this talking about this album behind, but fortunately and unfortunately, you've got your career goes on. You know, I mean, maybe we'll have to do a single segment on 404 and Rick Wills. Yeah, you poor devil.
Oh man.
But Foreigner Life did carry on. And then just when you thought there could, what's the next milestone for Foreigner? And
Oh my God.
after Foreigner 4, there was still another one that had not been achieved yet.
Yeah.
Did it?
It was.
So
true.
what does that take it from here, Rick? What Asian Provocateur?
You know, when you come off an album like 4, it takes a while to come down, really, to come down
Yeah.
to any kind of sensibility because we were out on the road. I mean, we were in a position where we could bring our wives out and be with us when we needed to have them out on the road when they wanted to come out on the road because my wife would say, well, I'm only coming out of somewhere nice. I don't want to be in bumfuck or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I don't blame them. I wouldn't either. But we had to be there. So what? So you know, there were times when, like for my birthday, I remember we were in Des Moines, Iowa, and we were flying in from a gig the night before, and it was bogged out. So we had to land quite a long way away, and then drive in. I got into my room at like 4 or 5 in the morning. My wife was there. She said, "Oh, great! It's nice to see you, Rick. I thought you'd be here earlier."
No cell phones.
Oh,
Yeah.
cell phones, baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it all sounds wonderful, but none of us had a cell phone back then.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
We were doing Morse code, by the way. Yeah.
Carrier pigeon.
So, anyway,
So once you go ahead, Rick.
no, it was just a really great time to be part of it, because everyone was taking it so seriously, but enjoying it at the same time.
Yes.
You know,
That's just
Yes.
lovely.
we knew to do
So
another album.
Yeah.
yeah. So that brings us to Agent Provocateur in 1984.
So where do you start,
And-
right?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, you have to start with the obvious thing, which is that.
The final milestone.
Okay, so-
The milestone.
Okay, so the most at this point, Foreigner had so many hits, probably 10 big radio hits at that point already.
Yeah.
And a new milestone was that the first #1 hit for the band
And not
happened.
single words. Yeah.
I Want to Know What Love Is. I mean, you talk to anybody
On the
about
planet.
that song, and it's
Yeah.
everyone knows that song. I mean, it's unbelievable. I don't think I've stumped somebody once.
Any age.
Yeah, like any age. I to this day I've been in the band, over 12 years now, and
Birthday.
not once when I'm trying to, occasionally you have a younger person that may be Foreigner. Oh, it sounds familiar. I don't know. And I say, well, I want to know what love is.
Oh yeah.
You sing that. Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, you're just not gonna. Yeah, they know that.
Crazy.
I can't remember exactly how that. Mick had got into keyboards,
Right.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Well, it was that was the time.
Yeah, 84.
The digital revolution was exploding.
With his wife Anne and kids. He had his little room off of the sort of kitchen dining area, and he had a keyboard set up in there. And he would mess with it, he would just mess with sounds and a tone, a vibe from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That was how Mick got the ideas sometimes from where something would go. And he would just, out of his back of his mind somewhere, would come up with this idea of the song. And when he first presented it, it didn't really sound like it was going to be anything more than just another ballad that Lou was already worried about, by the way.
Right.
Losing the rock edge because
he wanted to rock.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He wasn't taking too kindly to this new.
I remember from starting
era of
the first time, Long Way From Home, a Head Knocker into Double Vision, Hot Blooded. We were a rock band primarily. That's what we were seen as.
Right. Well, I just want to say from maybe this is a sort of a more geeky keyboard player perspective, but a lot of the elements of the late 70s, a lot of the prog rock, you think of, Yes was already on the map, and Rush and bands like that were progressive rock, using synthesizers, but they were still rocking, right? It's still rock, and the guitar is still focused. Very
depends how you define rock.
Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the keyboards were, and an accompaniment to it were a big part of the sound of the so-called prog rock bands, but they were still rocking. I mean, the idea was that they were still rocking, and so maybe this friction that was happening was sort of, okay, Mick was wanting to make the keyboard be more the focus, and writing songs that were more keyboard driven, and that was new. That was a different thing for Foreigner at that point, right? He had written on guitar, right?
But it definitely bothered Lou, that going down that avenue of softness, as it were.
Right.
Bothered him.
Right.
Yeah.
By the time I Want to Know What Love Is became what I Want to Know What Love Is, which we didn't know how it was going to really develop until the choir was brought in at the end.
Yeah.
Right?
Now I get it.
That's when it suddenly went boom. It was gospel time. It was suddenly became obvious that this was more than just another song.
Yeah.
A big, big song. Down to the studio. I remember Mick's parents were there. We were all listening to the playback because it was the New Jersey, State Choir that came in. And at first we weren't sure how. They were trying different ways of doing it and singing it, and they just suddenly clicked. They got it. They knew it. They had to just fall into place. It wasn't their place to overtake it, but they had to go with it and make it soulful, and they did. They really did. And Lou,
was it Mick's idea to bring the choir in?
Yeah, I think so. Unless I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Bringing in Junior Walker to urge it. That was Mick's idea, which was a idea.
Huge
what
idea.
A brilliant,
Jesus.
Brilliant. So brilliant.
And I mean, he went downtown to the Village in New York, and he saw Junior Walker do a gig, right, at that night. He said, "Come back to the studio, man. I want to go back." I mean, we all love Junior Walker, Shotgun.
Shotgun, yep.
And all the boys came in. I mean, you know what bands like when they come in. They want to develop. They want to devour the place, right?
Yeah.
You got this, man. Okay, brother, help yourself.
Yeah.
But to get Junior to play like he used to play when he was a younger man,
right?
That was hard, man.
It's a couple takes. Couple takes.
He kind of got a little lazy. There's about 20 takes of that. Really.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess I didn't. Wow. Yeah, I mean, because there's such an edge to that.
When we got it, I mean, Urgent's just the best sax solo, and Tom Gibble does a great job on that.
Kills it. Yeah.
Night after night.
That high note.
Yeah. So the choir, you got the choir in I Want to Know What Love Is, and then you were like, okay, now we see it.
Well, it's funny that quite normal as you would, but people out there and record them and bring them in and sing the choruses. I want to know what that's. But then they got the vibe because the choir leader, he got them into it. He said, "Come on, we're going to get this. We're going to get the soul of this. You know,
all right.
come on, we're going to do this. You know," and they got it.
Yeah,
They got the vibe. They really did. And
Yeah.
then we got the video.
Yeah.
So when we're walking into the studio, meeting the people, we're all doing this, high five.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is special. It really is.
Yeah, it is. So listen, we have. I think this might be a good time. I hope we can make this happen. That there's a version of that song that was played at the 40th anniversary of Atlantic Records,
Yeah, it was.
and everybody was there. Atlantic Records is
We
one of
did
the
that
most
fun.
epic labels.
I asked a few guys to come and join us.
Well, I hope that we can show this clip because it's
Please
the
do.
song, and I think you can see that everybody on the planet, and including huge artists surrounding the song in this moment, got it. They were feeling it. It's a great performance of the song, and a couple years later, after it was recorded, but it looks like this.
I got nowhere left to hide. It looks like love has finally found me. In my life, there's been heartache and pain. I don't know if I can face it again. I can't stop now. I've traveled so far to change this lonely life. I wanna know what love is. I want you to show me. Yeah. I wanna feel what love is. I know you can show me. Come on now. I wanna know what love is. I know you can show me. I wanna feel what love is. And I know you can show me. Let's talk about love. I wanna know what love is. Love that you feel inside.
So Rick, like it's your background vocal mates are not substandard in that clip.
Not really. No, I just went to Phil
No.
Collins and Steve Stills and said, "Would you mind going and singing with us?"
That's
Phil
great.
Collins and Stephen
Oh,
Stills.
I mean, you've got to understand. Back in Steve Stills is one. I loved his solo album, man. That first solo album.
Manassas.
Oh man, I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Southern Cross and all that stuff that he had on
Yeah.
that. Beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah. Crazy.
And I have him next to me on stage singing on the same mic as me with Phil Collins. Phil, I knew. I mean, I've played with Phil a couple of times, I think. But man, what an honor to have those guys on the mic with you.
And they're feeling it.
Yeah. And I love that, like, you said, you asked them, hey, what do you guys think about coming up and jumping in on background vocals? And, that's the way it is with musicians, with your friends. So it's always yes. Yeah.
Very rarely no.
Yeah.
That way.
It's always, of
also-
course. Yeah.
It's really brilliant though about that, Rick. Like you,
When you know people who have become really huge, like Zeppelin and people like that, when they pay you respects back, like when we were in Munich one night with Phil Carson brought Jimmy and Robert over for a weekend fun time, as Phil's prone to do. If you know Phil Carson, you know exactly what I mean.
he likes
I
to have
do.
fun.
Jimmy and Robert came to Munich. It was in 1985, I think, after John had departed this world and
Yeah.
it kind of lost. And we came out the elevator to go to our show, and there was Phil with Jimmy and Robert. Well, just to see those guys standing there, it's a little unreal anyway.
Yeah.
So would you mind if we came to your show tonight? And Dennis, I've got to love Dennis for this. He walked up to Jimmy and hugged him. and said, "Thank you so much for the music. I love it." He loved John Bonham. He really loved Bonham, and I do too. I have had the pleasure of playing with John Bonham a couple of times. He's amazing, just amazing.
Wow.
And Robert also. I mean, Robert doesn't only just sing, by the way. He's also a really good guitar player.
Wow. I
He
bet.
really is. And we went when I was in a band called Cochise back in the 70s. We did a nightclub in Birmingham, England, called Mothers, very famous club. I was in a band. It was kind of country rock kind of band, a steel guitar player. And these guys, Robert and John, were from that area of Birmingham, and they were hanging out backstage, being quite naughty.
As you do.
And they said, "Would you mind if we come up and jam with you in your second set?" I said, "Absolutely not at all." I'll tell you, man. Having Robert and Jimmy come on stage with you when you're in a band called Go Cheese was pretty amazing, because they were hot shit by then. They really were.
Oh man.
And
Did you say what? Did you say what year that would have been?
we about 71, 70, like
Okay.
their early stages, but they were hot.
But oh god, yeah, they
Got
were.
Willie Wilson's drum kit, which was, I think I saw the Trixon or Ludwig kit, and he just went all the skins were like that, just dipped, hope for the power of John. And Robert had a Telecaster by Mick Grabham, the guitarist in our band. He said, "Can I borrow his Telecaster?" And Robert's really good, man. And he just jammed. He said, "Let's just jam on E, whatever, Holy shit. We couldn't keep up with it. We all our amps went up to 10, 12, 10, whatever. We went past nobody.
I never saw Robert play electric guitar.
He's really good. Really, really good. And he just jammed. He just sang what came into his head, and we just played along with it. It was incredible. Just
Wow.
unbelievable. What the power John Bonham and Robert Plant could put out.
So God, I want to know what love is. That's where we left off with Foreigner, right?
Yeah. Right.
It was
just
huge.
Yeah. And you had That Was Yesterday was also a big
Love that
song on that album.
Love that
Really
song.
big song that we still played, obviously, to this day.
Love that song.
Yeah, great. Definitely another example of a keyboard-driven song. Mick wrote that on keyboards and plays keys to this day.
It's a really nice song as well. I mean, the lyric, the feeling behind that lyric, that was yesterday. Everything was going great until yesterday,
Right.
Yeah.
Play 5,
Yep.
I mean, Mick has this knack of coming up with really catchy songs.
Yeah.
Can't get out of your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I could write them like that. Boy, I wish I'm living in a bigger house now.
Who needs more? We're good.
Oh, yeah, I don't need
Yeah.
more. I'm fine now.
By the way, Rick, I do want to say so I'm looking down. This is your house in Florida.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful, man. I mean, it's a really nice backdrop you've got going on there, man. I want to take a nap on your couch.
You can nap on our couch anytime. And I'll put you there, don't worry.
Couple of cognacs, you'll be napping in no time.
Yeah. Okay, so there is another Foreigner album that came after all of this magnificent success.
Inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot because I thought the songs on there were really good. But, we were slightly on the decline like that because we noticed from our live shows, we had these, what we called the Blue Rinse Brigade down the front. They were ladies of a certain age who, like ballads, shall we say, but they weren't the usual head knocker, bang, rockers down the front.
Right.
It just did. And I think it got to Lou more than all of them, really.
Right.
He wanted to stay rocking, he really did. And so, sadly, we went into a decline at that point, really.
Sure.
As good as the songs were, Mick was getting kind of confused by this issue with Lou and whatnot. So, gradually it fell apart. It's very sad to say.
Yeah.
But we got to 92 and by then, Lou had decided to take a solo career,
Yep.
go down that path because he was being led that way by certain voices in his ear.
Yeah.
I won't go into detail.
Yeah.
Mick was kind of lost because he'd lost his writing partner for a start.
Right.
So we brought in a singer called Johnny Edwards, who we found through contacts. A guy called this is terrible. He was the head of Rolling Stone, and he was a good friend of Mick's. I can't.
Oh, Jan. Yeah.
Winner. Right.
Jan Winter. Yep.
Flew Mick out to LA to find Johnny Edwards, who was in a band called, I believe, White Horse or something like that.
Okay.
They came back, and Johnny was terrific. I mean, he was
Great singer, man.
a fantastic singer. And an all-round athlete. I mean, he was in great shape and everything. But it didn't feel right somehow.
Yeah.
Right.
And I didn't
Yeah.
quite either.
Right.
You know? We started making this album called Unusual Heat. And it just didn't work for me. It just didn't work for Dennis either, I don't think, really.
Yeah.
Wrong, because
Yeah.
Terry Thomas we brought in. And it was me who brought him in because he'd been producing Bad Company albums towards the end of their career. And it was doing really well with Brian House singing. And there was something that was not right.
Yeah.
I didn't care. Dennis said, Rick, I can't go on doing this.
Right.
I quit. And to me, that was the turning point. I couldn't go on without Dennis. He was my anchor. He was my man. We were the engine room of the Foreigner. You know?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bass and drums, man.
And at that point, when Dennis said he quit, they did bring in another drummer. That didn't feel right to me. So I quit. And I went to England and I rang Simon, Mick Rouse, Simon Kirk, Mick Rouse, Bad Company. I said, are you guys touring this year? Said, yeah, we're going out in September. Got a single coming out called How About That? You know, we're going to do a video. Why don't you join us? I said,
Wow.
I just did. I literally got out a Foreigner into Bad Company.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
it
you know.
was weird. I didn't want to do it, but it happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And, you know, right before then, I went back to see Mick a couple of times in New York. Mick wasn't in too good a shape at the time. He really wasn't. He was drinking a lot. And we were all kind of confused by it because we'd had so much success.
Yeah.
And it suddenly all gone wrong. And it happens with the bands. I don't know what
yeah.
it was.
Cool.
And I was really upset about that. I really was, because it has been the best 10 years of my life. Really had. So 79 to 80, 92 has been fantastic. But you know what? I took on Bad Company, and I always liked Bad Company. I love their music.
Sure.
You had to stop, you know.
I mean, no shortage of hits there either, you know?
Yes.
Day one, when they brought out the first album, you bring out the first album and it goes to number one. That's not a bad start, is it? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Every Song was a winner, you know, from Feels Like Making Love to, you know, Can't Get Enough.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's
Wow.
you know,
There's so many hit songs. And we touched on our last episode, we touched on the brilliant singers that you have worked, like been in bands with, not just worked with, but you're in their band. I mean, you like, Paul Rogers,
Paul Rogers,
you know, Lou Graham,
Lou
Steve
Graham,
Marriott.
Steve Marriott.
Yeah. David Gilmour's not too shabby, by the way.
David Gilmour
Yeah.
didn't suck. I mean,
all
yeah,
right
yeah.
there. Yeah.
I can tell you a few others that I've been in too. I mean, you know, the guy who was in Jones' Game, Robert Hart, is a fantastic singer. Great singer. Jim Stapley, who followed him, great singer also. I mean, so many. I've been so lucky. But you've got to be with the right people if you're going to do it. My heart knows what to do.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
does. It doesn't.
Right.
I can't.
Right.
Do it. I can't do that, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I like you guys. So you know, get it right. Right?
Yeah. Oh man.
Well, you know, I think this has been awesome, man. Really, just So we ended a chat.
I enjoy talking to you so much because I have a lot to tell, and I could tell you a million things more. Believe you me, but that just takes too long.
Episode 3.
well,
Listen, we're not afraid to
episode
do this
3.
again, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
But
this is awesome.
we have things to say in the future about what will it be next, because
Yeah,
we can get back to being concerts.
we will. We will.
Together.
Yes.
We will.
Hope that's not too far away. The positive.
I just feel this is so great to be able to, whoever's tuning into this, to be able to just be a part of our hang, because there were so many years that we had never met, Michael and I, and never met you. And now I think we're all buddies, and I think it's nice to share how natural and fun it is for us to hang out together.
Totally.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Yeah. It's the best.
Well, cheers, guys. Let's
Yeah.
right, cheers. Hey.
Put it up. Who would ever thought? Yeah, Rick will put it up.
Nice.
Hey, man.
Well,
Rick, we'll see you soon,
Rick,
buddy.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, man.
You're
That was
amazing.
great, Rick.
Next
Yeah.
time on
Cheers.
the road, going on
Yes.
together, right?
Yes.
Yeah, man. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
All right.